Hi, hello, good afternoon everyone. I'm Dr. Harika Kishore. On behalf of Vista's Learning, I'm here as your biology educator. Learning, it's an online education platform which works with an ideology of providing quality education for all. Visit our website www.v-learning.in where you're going to get an access for all the live classes, recorded sessions, concept videos, study materials. Moreover, you're going to get this lecture notes in the form of PDFs and also get your acquaintance with all the channels available and subscribe to the Vista's channel, that is Vista's Learning Class 11 and 12. If you find this session useful and interesting, make sure to click on the like as well as share this session with your friends. And also don't forget to click on the bell icon such that you are going to get all the upcoming video notifications. Now, saying that, let's start our today's session. We have been discussing the chapter that is environmental issues, which comes under the unit ecology, right? So in our previous session, we had a discussion about the effects that are caused by the excessive usage of agrochemicals, and also we had a discussion about greenhouse effect as well as global warming. In this session, let's discuss about ozone depletion. We are very well aware of the importance of the ozone that we already know. It's the most reactive gas which is present in the stratosphere and also troposphere, but we can see the importance only if it is present in the stratosphere because it is going to absorb all the UV rays that are coming from the sun, and thereby it is avoiding direct hit of this UV rays to our earth surface. That means it is protecting us and by trapping the UV rays, right? Let's start out today's discussion. So here we are looking into the ozone depletion in the stratosphere. Stratosphere, we know that they are layers, atmospheric layers, and this is the uppermost layer. So now below that we find this troposphere. So here we have studied earlier in your chemistry class, that is the class 11 textbook, where you find about bad ozone. Bad ozone forms in the lower atmosphere. As we just now mentioned that they are like lower atmosphere and upper atmosphere on the earth's surface. We can find this lower atmosphere is occupied by troposphere. And here in the troposphere, we find some of the pollutants which are caused due to air pollution, and the gas that is nothing but ozone is polluted. Therefore, we consider it as a bad ozone because it is going to cause harmful effects on the plants as well as animals. That is what we consider the presence of the ozone, as it is combined with the pollutants. We call it as a bad ozone. And always this bad ozone is present in the lower atmosphere, which is very close to the surface of the earth, and that is troposphere, right? Then where do we find the good ozone? We know that ozone is very, very essential to absorb all the UV rays that are hitting directly to the earth's surface coming from the sun. But between this, there is a layer of ozone, and that we call it as a good ozone, which is present in the upper surface, and that is called as stratosphere. So here, there is good ozone also. This ozone is found in the upper part of the atmosphere called the stratosphere. So here the lower part of the atmosphere, troposphere, where we do find bad ozone, and the good ozone will be present in the upper part of the atmosphere, and that is called a stratosphere. So here, as we already mentioned, and it acts as a shield, protective shield, which absorbing UV rays. UV radiation that is coming from the sun. As we know that UV rays are of different types, like UVA rays, UVB rays and UVC rays, right? Depending upon the different wavelengths, it is categorized into UVA, B and C. So here, UV rays are highly injurious, harmful to living organisms since DNA and protein molecules, which are made up of amino acids. As we already know that amino acids will act as the building blocks for the proteins, right? So, since DNA and proteins of living organisms preferentially they'll absorb UV rays. The DNA molecules and protein molecules which are present in the living organisms will absorb this UV rays, and its high energy, the high energy which is present in the UV rays are going to break the bonds which are present in the DNA as well as protein structures. And we already know that nucleic acids will act as a genetic material, and proteins are very, very essential for being hormones. They are going to act as a hormones, enzymes, and like different functionings of the proteins as well as different functioning of the DNA are going to be impaired if the bonds which are present, if the chemical bonds which are present in these molecules are going to be broken down by the absorption of UV rays, right? So the thickness of ozone in a column of air from the ground to the top of the atmosphere is measured by units, and that units are called as Dobson units, which is denoted by capital DU. This is very important in your neat point of view, right? Now, ozone, as we already said, this is a highly reactive gas. Ozone gas is continuously formed by the action of UV rays, and the starting material, that is molecular oxygen. Molecular oxygen. So here, molecular oxygen combines with the oxygen atom, which leads to the formation of ozone. And here, for this, it requires the presence. This happens with the action of UV rays. And also degrade, not only formation, but also breakdown, degraded into molecular oxygen in the stratosphere. So here, again, it will be broken down, and even this molecular oxygen also will broken down to give rise to individual oxygen molecule. This is how degradation takes place, and this is how the formation takes place. Here also, individual oxygen molecules combines to give rise to molecular oxygen. Molecular oxygen combines with the individual oxygen atom to form ozone. This is the formation, right? And this is degradation. Both formation as well as degradation takes place by the action of UV rays. And here, this should be always the rate at which the formation takes place that has to be equilibrium to the rate at which the breaking down is taking place. Then only there is a possibility of maintaining this ozone layer at equilibrium rates. Now, there should be a balance. Balance between what? Production, that is formation, and degradation, that is breaking down into individual molecules of the ozone in the stratosphere. If there is an imbalance between the production and breaking down, always it has to be in and synchronized, that we can say how much amount of the production is taking place, that much amount of the degradation will be taking place in the presence of the UV light in stratosphere. But if there is an imbalance coming between the reactions of formation and the reaction of degradation, then there is an impact that is going to be shown in the thickness of the ozone layer which is present in the stratosphere, right? So here, at least the balance between the formation and the degradation of the ozone has been disturbed due to enhancement of ozone degradation by chlorofluorocarbons, which are used as an refrigerants. So here, chlorofluorocarbons find wide use in our refrigerators. So these molecules are increasing the rate at which the breakdown takes place. So it is going to show its result in imbalance between the formation as well as degradation of the ozone. And here chlorofluorocarbons discharged in the lower part of the atmosphere, that means troposphere, and moves upward, that means it moves towards stratosphere and reaches stratosphere. Here in the chlorofluorocarbons, the chlorine is the component which is coming, and that is acting as a catalyst. We already know catalyst can be any substances which accelerate the reaction. It will accelerate the reaction, and at the end of the reaction it comes out of the reaction. Therefore, the concentration at which the catalyst is entering the reaction will be equal to the concentration at which the catalyst is coming out of the reaction. That means the concentration here remains same, constant, right? Now, so here, in stratosphere, UV rays acting on them releasing chlorine atoms. So these chlorine atoms are going to act as a catalyst. So this chlorine degrades, degradation, ozone releasing molecular oxygen. It is going to degrade the ozone releasing molecular oxygen. If the molecular oxygen is not there to combine with an oxygen atom, then there is no formation of ozone. It is showing its effect in the degradation of this molecular oxygen, with these atoms acting merely as a catalyst. For this reaction, the catalyst here is chlorine atom. Chlorine atom is acting as a catalyst for the reaction. And what is that reaction? Reaction is the degradation of ozone forming molecular oxygen. Molecular oxygen is going to be degraded, and for that reaction the catalyst is chlorine atoms, right? Now, the chlorine atoms are not consumed in the reaction. Not only chlorine atoms, to that matter, any catalyst will not be used in the reaction. It will just accelerate, it will just speed up the reaction at which the substrate is converting into products. Once the products comes out of the reaction, then the catalyst will come out of the reaction. Therefore, the concentration of the catalyst will be remained constant. This is very, very important to be noted. So now, right, hence, whatever chlorofluorocarbons are added to the stratosphere, they have permanent, this is very, very important. Once it is added to the stratosphere, the concentration will remain constant, will remain permanent, and continuing the effect on ozone layer. Continually, it is showing its effect on the degradation of the molecular oxygen. No molecular oxygen available to combined with the oxygen atoms, thereby ozone formed will be decreased. Now, although ozone depletion is occurring widely in the stratosphere, the depletion that is taking place particularly, we can mark it over in the Antarctic region. So, this has resulted in the formation of large area of thinned ozone layer. Just this is for your understanding. See, whenever there is an ozone hole, that doesn't mean that there is no ozone at all. It is a gas. Definitely it will be there, but the concentration is less. That means the thick ozone is converting into thin layer. That is the thing. And the thin ozone presence, we consider them as the ozone holes. So here, this thickness is more when compared to this thickness. So this area will come under ozone holes. Never ozone hole will represent complete lacking, that means complete absence of ozone gas. As it is in the gaseous form, ozone will be present, but it will be present in the less concentration. Thinned layer of the ozone will be found, and that is considered as a ozone holes. So area of thinned, this is very important. Thinned ozone layers commonly called as ozone hole, ozone holes. So now, UV radiation, which is having a shorter wavelength, UV radiation of wavelengths shorter than UVB, are almost completely absorbed by the Earth's surface, giving that the ozone layer is intact. It is present intact. So this is where we can find the wavelengths to be, one second, 280 nanometers to 313 nanometers. This is the range we find UVB. So depending upon the various wavelengths, the types has been denoted. And we are talking about UVB, right? But UVB damages DNA. UVB is known to cause damages to DNA which attacks genetic material and causes the mutations. That means sudden changes which leads to disorders like chromosomal aberrations may occur, right? So, and even it causes aging of skin. UVB can show its most of the effect in causing the cancers, particularly to the skin. So the skin cells, dermis, is going to show its effect. These cells are going to get damaged. It causes aging of skin, damage to the skin cells, and various types of skin cancers. Cancers, we know that UV rays are responsible for causing cancers, and that is particularly skin cancer because it is going to damage the cells that are present in the dermal layer, that is skin. Now, in human eye, cornea the cornea will absorb this UVB radiation. This is also an again important point to be noted. And a high dose of UVB causes inflammation, swelling of cornea. And this condition is very, very important. Inflammation of the cornea is caused due to the absorption of UVB. Remember this point? And that condition, that means swelling, inflammation of the cornea, we call it as a snow blindness. And also another condition that is called as cataract. Even this cataract, they feel like seeing through the cloud lens. The lens are not cleared, and very blur vision is a symptom that comes in the disorder that is called as cataract. Now, such exposure may permanently damage cornea. It may have its temporary effect by showing this some of the symptoms like reddish swelling of the cornea, blurred vision, or if the exposure to this UVB is continuous, it finally leads to the permanent blindness, permanent damage that is happening to the cornea. Now, so here this is important again, recognizing the deleterious effect, damage of ozone depletion, which is caused due to the depletion of the ozone, an international treaty known as Montreal Protocol. Montreal Protocol was signed at Montreal, which is located in the Canada, in the year 1987, but it comes to the effect on 1989. This is important. To control the emission of ozone depleting substances, which is going to cause its effect onto the ozone concentration, that means the layer. To reduce the emission of such substances, the protocol was taken care of, and the measures were taken during this Montreal Protocol. Now, subsequently, see, all this is due to urbanization. We know that as the population is increasing and increasing, to meet the demands that are coming from the ever-increasing population, we are entering into the forest and making the forest areas into non-forest areas, because we need the land to do agriculture. We are converting the forest lands into agriculture lands or the grasslands because we need the grasslands to graze the animals. So all this, we started with the need and it extended to our greed, right? So subsequently, many more effects has been made and protocol have laid down defined roadmaps with a clear-cut idea. And these roadmaps were separately developed for the list of the developed countries and the developing countries. Separately for developed, like America, and developing India. It is separate for developed countries and developing countries for reducing the emission of chlorofluorocarbons, and other ozone depleting chemicals. Now, this is important. See, we are utilizing resources that is there. Due to increasing population, pollution is also increasing. And the pollution in the various forms like air pollution, soil pollution, land pollution, these all will cause effect to the resources that is there. But if we are not aware of proper utilization, if we are improperly utilizing these resources, then also we are going to face a very adverse effects. Degradation, that is depletion, by improper utilization. Improper utilization of what? Improper utilization of resources, natural resources. Degradation by improper resource utilization and maintenance. See, we have to properly utilize and we have to maintain the resources. Just for example, to make you understand, soil fertility. Soil is fertile and this fertility will be more on the top layer of the soil when compared to the below layers. There in which the roots are penetrated. The plants will penetrate their roots into the soil top layers such that it will grab the nutrients, that is the minerals, right? If this is overexploited, over-cultivation is doing in a particular area, soon the fertility of the soil is going to be exhaust. That is, it is going to be used up so soon. The rates at which the utilization is more. We have to keep in control. We have to maintain it. We have to give a proper time to get it back to its fertility rate. We have to give the time for the resources to recover, right? Then only we can have a proper utilization of all the resources which are coming. The degradation of the natural resources can occur not just by the action of the pollutants, not just by causing the pollution, but also by improper resource utilization and practices. We need to aware of the proper way of utilization and the proper way of maintenance of our natural resources, because we have to present all the natural resources which are serving us for the next generation too, that too in a good condition. Here, soil erosion and desertification, turning the fertile lands into non-fertile lands. So here, soil erosion, where the fertility of the soil is going to be depleted because of our human activities like overexploitation and or over-cultivation. Let's see about it. The development of the fertile top layer, see, if you consider these are the layers of the soil, we do find the fertility more towards the top layer, and there which the plant extend its roots to collect the nutrients, right? To collect the nutrients. Thereby the growth and the development of the plant will be proper. So, for that, the soil will take so many centuries. See, while we are discussing about the soil formation, soil withering takes centuries together. For forming a soil from the rocks has to get broken down into small pieces, and again that has to have the water holding capacity, and it has to grab the nutrients, it has to hold the nutrients, then only it will turn into fertile soil. For all this process to happen, it takes centuries together. But it can be removed. Formation is really taking a long time, centuries together, but removing is very easy because we are doing all these activities because of the human activities like over cultivation, unrestricted grazing, deforestation, cutting down of the trees, poor irrigation practices results in the arid patches of land. See, if you find this is a piece of land where it is having a fertile soil. Because of all these activities, we can find patches in the land where we find the fertility is lost. Here, the fertility is lost. Therefore, we can't expect the plants to grow because it is running out of the nutrients there, because it is getting lost of its fertility which is present in the soil. Now, through the age, time is passing. When the time is passing, we can find these patches are growing. These patches will grow in size, and at some point of time in the future, we can find the complete land is going to convert into non-fertile soil, right? So here, when large barren patches, see, initially it started as arid patches, then the patches will grow in size. It starts extend and meet over time to create unfertile soil, the soil which doesn't allow the growth of the plants or doesn't simply support the life. That's what we call it as a desert. So it meets each other and the complete place will be converting into desert. And that is what desertification. Internationally, it has been recognized that desertification is a major problem nowadays, particularly due to increased urbanization. Lots and lots of apartments, buildings, tall buildings, right? The more the urbanization, we can say the less land which is available for the plants or agricultural lands, right? Now, let's discuss about another problem. One is waterlogging and other one is soil salinity. Waterlogging and soil salinity. Irrigation without proper drainage of water. See, this is the land. Where we started plantation and we started irrigating this land. If the proper drainage system is not provided in this land, the water which is provided for the plants to grow will get stagnated, will get settled there itself, and that is called as water logging. And this wetlands, two wetlands like water logging lands will not support the plants either, and also it leads to so many other problems. Look at here. So the irrigation without proper drainage of water, if this is missing, if the proper drainage system is not established, leads to water logging in the soil. Stagnation of the water leads to so many flies, insects. Slowly that stagnation will provide a scope for the algae and both we can see dirty smell, as well as it is a source for so many flies which will contaminate the health of the living organisms too. No matter humans, even the animals can also get infected. Besides affecting the crops, this waterlogging soil are not going to support the plant's development. Waterlogging, this is another important phenomena where just now we said that water is going to settle. Stagnated water we can see. And the salt which is present in the water is going to accumulate, draw salt to the surface of the soil. As the water is stagnated, the water has salts, and all the salts start accumulated, and that accumulation is found at the surface of the soil. Just now we said that the topmost layers will be more fertile, which provides the nutrition for the growing plants. As it is full of salt now, soil salinity. Soil salinity is nothing but the content of the salt which is present in the soil, right? The soil salinity is going to increase, which will not support, which is not supportive for the growth of the plants. Then salt is deposited, accumulated as a thin crust on the land surface or starts collecting at the roots of the plants. See, this is plant and this is how the roots will come from the plant. And here is a thin layer of salt deposition because of water logging, right? This increased salt content, is inimical, unfriendly, not supportive to the growth of the crops and is extremely damaging the agriculture, right? And waterlogging and soil salinity. These are the two conditions, are some of the important problems that have come in the wake of green revolution. We have discussed very well about this green revolution in the previous classes itself, right? Yeah, that is it. So in today's class, we had a discussion about the ozone depletion and the gases which are responsible to deplete the ozone. Coming up session, let's meet up with the next topic. Until then, keep learning with We Learning. Thank you.